In this lesson, you'll receive a helpful guide for successfully painting hair. Even the most intricate hair locks will no longer pose an issue when you master these handy steps. Print a reference photo. Study the object closely, observing its intricate pattern as well as the interplay of light and shadow. After completing your drawing, gently use a kneading eraser to soften any pencil lines that appear too dark. Place a wet cloth on the table and smooth it with your hands. Fully moisten your painting on both sides before laying it on the damp cloth. Utilize a broad damp brush to flatten the paper. Begin by applying a base color for the hair. Then switch to finer brushes to add intricate lines following the hair pattern. Add darker accents to the hair, holding your brush farther from the tip to create loose strokes. Remove any excess paint and adjust the hair shape by lifting the paint with a damp brush. After removing the paint, clean the brush, dry it, and repeat the process of removing, cleaning, and drying as needed. Paint hair locks, paying attention to shadows and highlights. Use a saturated color mix with minimal moisture to ensure that the applied strokes maintain their shape better on wet paper. Adjust the shape of the hair by lifting the paint. Remove the excess paint, clean the brush and dry it. Additionally, you can use crumpled tissue to remove paint from wet paper. It's time to add saturated shadows for more depth. As the pigment gets absorbed by the wet paper, it will lighten. So during the process, we'll add more shadows to maintain depth. Use water and an extra fine brush to draw thin highlights in the hair. These lines are crucial for shaping the hair and giving it a natural appearance. Review the exercises to master the drawing with water technique. Add some darker fine thin lines in the hair. A thin rigger brush with long bristles is essential if you love painting portraits, but you can also use an extra fine round brush. Paint saturated shadows by adding more pigment to the mix, creating a creamy texture as you blend it. Remove excess paint by lifting it where needed. Even a small gap between the locks can have a significant effect. Paint the shadows referring to your reference photo. Apply paint between the thin highlights in the hair to enhance the effect. Add fine dark lines in the hair to further define the strands and add depth. Add color accents where needed. We are still painting on slightly damp paper. The cloth underneath helps maintain the paper's moisture. Create hair highlights using water. This process always feels magical to me. If the line doesn't appear directly, try drawing it again. Paint shadowy accents. Add individual strands of hair. Paint shadows using a rigger brush for the strokes. Add darker colors between the highlights and paint individual strands of hair to enhance the texture and depth of the hair. It's time to dry the painting. Start by drying one side, then flip it over and dry the back side. Repeat the process until the paper is completely sturdy and dry. Add saturated shadows on the dry paper. Then soften the edges of the fresh strokes. Since the paper is dry, you'll notice the colors appear lighter than on wet paper. And adding extra shadows now will provide a noticeable difference, enhancing depth and dimension. The final touch is to create some highlights by scratching the surface with a sharp knife. Review the exercises we mastered together to learn more about the scratching technique. Ready! Join my community on Skillshare, where I teach watercolor and coffee art. Learn, share, and grow alongside fellow artists from around the world. Sign up for a 30-day free trial using the link on belivar.be and let's create together. Also, you can see my latest free watercolor tips and tutorials by following me on Instagram and YouTube.